We've just created a service profile that boots off of the SD cards. But what if we wanted to boot off of an array across the network via iSCSI? Well, in order to do that, we'll need to change the boot policy, but more than that, we need to start by creating what we call iSCSI vNICs. And by the end of this nugget, we'll be able to add iSCSI vNICs to any service profile we've created. We're on the Server tab in UCS Manager, and I have our service profile highlighted. On the work pane on the right, we see under General that we've powered off the server once again in order to change the way we boot. So we can go over here to the boot order up here in the tabs, and we've got our SD card boot selected. So we're going to say Modify Boot Policy, and select iSCSI-Tegile, which is the storage array that we have in our environment. And we can see that it shows two iSCSI vNICs down here called iSCSI-Tegile-A and iSCSI-Tegile-B. Now here's the interesting thing about this. This is saying that we need to target two iSCSI vNICs that are called iSCSI-Tegile-A and iSCSI-Tegile-B. The problem is we don't actually have those created as part of our service profile yet. So here's what we can do. We can click right here within the Modify Boot Policy section and say Create iSCSI vNIC. Now, the important thing is that we have to call this exactly what it's called down there. So iSCSI-Tegile-A. We cannot have a typo. It needs to be exact. The overlay vNIC is the actual vNIC that we've created that will carry this iSCSI vNIC traffic. Next, we need to pick the overlay vNIC. This will be the actual vNIC that carries the iSCSI vNIC traffic. We covered this in more detail, by the way, in the UCS iSCSI storage configuration skill, so be sure to check that out if you need more information about the overlay vNIC. For now, we're going to map this to storage 0, set an iSCSI adapter policy to Tegile, something that we have defined previously. Now, this is so important. The VLAN has to be the native VLAN. It cannot be tagged. So in our case, we don't have any other VLANs on this vNIC, but if the vNIC that is selected has multiple VLANs, be sure to pick the native VLAN, as the traffic for booting from iSCSI must be untagged. Now this is also extremely important. We do not do anything with this section. We want to leave this as none. We do not want to pick a MAC address. And the reason for that is it will use the MAC address from the vNIC that we've selected. In our case, storage 0, we will inherit that MAC address. So we can say OK without selecting a MAC address, even though it seems like UCS wants us to pick a MAC address. So now we select the second iSCSI vNIC, which again, we haven't actually created yet. So we click Create iSCSI vNIC, and now we can name this one. Again, it has to be the exact name that's printed down below. So iSCSI-Tegile-B. Again, no typos allowed. Overlay vNIC in our case will be storage 1, the storage vNIC on fabric B. The iSCSI adapter policy set as before, and same VLAN, the native VLAN, no MAC address. Okay, so now we've created iSCSI vNICs. So with that, we say OK. And we can ignore the warning for now because we're not actually going to boot this yet. So we'll just say yes. And with that, we've created our iSCSI vNICs. So now we're able to add iSCSI vNICs to a service profile, remembering that we need to map the iSCSI vNICs to a physical vNIC, one that we've created as part of the service profile. Now the two big things to keep in mind. Number one, the VLAN has to be the native VLAN. We cannot boot off of a tagged VLAN. And the other important element is that even though UCS allows us to pick a MAC address, we do not want to select that. We want to say none. It will inherit the MAC address from the vNIC that we select as part of the overlay. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.